So I want to talk about what it means to have a safe space. So a lot of us might be familiar with this idea of having a safe place from, I don't know, AA meetings or mocking comments about, drug education classes and sex education classes when we were in high school. But, the truth of it, besides those AA meetings, how safe were those places? How safe were those circles that we made when we were little kids at school, talking about all our problems and our feelings and the people around us? Most of the time, I feel like it was the very people around us who made us feel unsafe in the first place. So we could never open up to our fullest capacity. And what does that do? Well, it only breeds more and more resentment. Because now not only are we around the source of our trouble and our misfortune, quote unquote, we're really the source of all of our own misfortune. Granted, that might not seem so apparent, but in most of our cases, right, barring other people's cases, we have the ability to reappropriate situations and turn things for the best. And even if you're going through one of the greatest struggles out of anyone's life, you're dealing with things far beyond most people's capacity to even comprehend. You have a choice, and that choice is you can be defeated. Like, for example, I know a person who's defeated right now, who's dealing with cancer, and he's dealing with a bunch of people in his life who pretty much want him dead. And that's a pretty tough situation, right? You say, well, how the hell do you deal with that? How is that his fault? Why is that misfortune his fault? And the point is that it isn't his fault, right? But there's a very noble lie that he can tell himself, that he is responsible for all of the situations in his life. Not in order to blame himself to fall deeper and deeper into a sense of misery, but rather to take charge of himself and his life in order to lift him out of any place of negativity, pain, and suffering. If we don't take charge of our life, how do we move ourselves out of that place? How do we do it? We can't do it because we're not responsible. Someone else has to do it. Someone has to come and lift us up and put us in a better place, right? And it's interesting. There's a poem by Bukowski called Dostoevsky, and Bukowski says just that Dostoevsky lifted him up and put him down in a better place. Even when at the bar drinking with the other derelicts, I was glad he got the reprieve. It gave me one, allowed me to see those stinking faces in my life, death pointing its finger. I held fast, an immaculate drunk, sharing the stinking dark with my brothers. Right? Like a wonderful, interesting poem. But what's interesting about it, right, is that in that poem, he says Dostoevsky lifted him up and put him down in a better place. But did he really? No. He didn't move. He didn't move at all. And that's the point. The point is that he put his mind in a better place. And with his mind in a better place, he was able to tolerate the situations in his life. He was able to make a better situation. He was able to take lemons and make lemonade. Now that's a fantastic skill to have, because as I was saying about my friend with cancer, come on, look. Okay, even in the worst of situations, we can focus on how terrible, how awful they are. We can pity ourselves and ask for pity. But as Nietzsche says, there's no room for pity. Don't pity the weak. Don't pity the less fortunate. Because they have the strength and they have the power, if they look deep within, to tap it into themselves in order to raise themselves out of their place into something greater, bigger, stronger, into their visions, into what they want to create for themselves. So don't give them the option to just sit around and fail. Don't tolerate that they can fail, that they can wallow. But rather, demand that they raise themselves out of a situation that is possible for them to raise themselves out of. And you know what? Let's just say they can't. I'd rather die trying than die failing. And if you really think that you're going to fail, you really think that it's an impossible situation, you've really hit rock bottom, mazel tov, congratulations. You are in no better position than to start doing the very things you think are going to bring you results right now. You can experiment any way you want. That's fantastic. Most of us are so bound and strung up in all of our responsibilities, all of our identities, all of our, social roles, that the very idea of breaking out of that and having the possibility of hitting rock bottom is unthinkable. It's unimaginable. Therefore, if you're already there, mazel tov, go crazy, do whatever you want, because it's only up. You can only move up, and we can only move up either way, but we can only move up in that situation, and it's obvious. Right, so let's get back to the point for you. So you're sitting around in this circle, and the very person who's been causing you all this misery and unfortunate is sitting right in front of you, and they say this is a safe place. And you're thinking to yourself, safe place? What about Susie over there? Or what about Billy? They've been bullying me every single day for the past 100 years of my life, and you're going to tell me this is a safe place? Safe place my ass. This is the most dangerous place in the world. I just open up here and all of a sudden my life even goes more to hell. Yeah, how about that one? I don't think so. So it wasn't really a safe place. It's hard to have a safe place. In fact, in my life, the only time I've ever been able to have a safe place is when I felt safe within myself. Now, this is a weird idea because I'm part of a man's group, Mankind Project, which is a wonderful, wonderful organization. And what's very interesting about this organization is that they very much stand for having a safe environment. All their meetings are confidential, they're safe, they're private. And this is great, but the thing is that I can imagine that if I wasn't already someone comfortable with everything I say, knowing that I'm safe, regardless of other people's intentions and motives and actions, that I'm always going to be safe and protected. Well, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable opening up, because even though people sign these confidentiality papers and they agree on their integrity, well, guess what? They go home, they can talk to their cat about it. And the cat's going to talk to other cats, and the cat's probably going to talk to another dog, and, pretty soon the whole neighborhood. Well, no, I mean, not really, but in actuality, they'll mention something to their spouse, in off passing, or they'll say something at lunch the next day. Oh, you won't believe it. Ben was crying so hard. He was talking about his family and his boss, and, all the ways that he feels like he's a failure, whatever. But, I say, fuck it, all right, fine. If those things are true with me, everyone should know it. Everyone should know my truth. Because by hiding from it, I give it power. And by giving it power, I lose my power, because it is a flaw. And I had a teacher, Dallas Willard, who all my blessings are with. He's one of the most wonderful people on earth, who said, the devil gets you by your flaws. So you must know them, and you must be intimate with them. So this idea of a safe place, I think, is important. It's always important to have a safe environment, especially with other people, with our friends, with our loved ones, to make sure that we have a training grounds where we're not going to hurt each other, and we can do and say what we want to say without fear of repercussions or judgment. Because then when it really matters, we've practiced. We're used to it. We understand. Or maybe we're getting out steam that needed to come out. Otherwise, what? Otherwise, it could have exploded. Or we could have imploded. And you got to get it out before then. That's one of the biggest causes of all breakups. Is this idea of distaste. When repression turns into resentment. And resentment turns to poison. And we don't want that poison. Not in our lives, not in our relationships, not anywhere. So the idea is build a safe place within your own heart first. Fortify your heart so that it's always safe. It's always open. Throw your truth on the table. Expose yourself at every opportunity. Why? Just to taunt your fears and insecurities, to show them that they have no power over you. They only have power over you when you're afraid of them, when you're afraid of other people knowing about them. I'll just share something really quick with you. When I was younger, I used to pluck my eyebrows all the time. All the time I used to pluck them.